Great to have you on the show, Jade. Do you want to tell us why you are currently in the United States of America and not at your home in Britain?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Liz. I'm in America because I can have free speech here. It is protected fully, and I cannot do that in the UK. In fact, I would be arrested for certain things that I say.
And how do you know that you would be arrested? What have you been told?
Well, I've been told that I have about 12 cases open in Scotland Yard regarding my online presence. I have severely offended several communities, but the majority of which are the Muslims and the Islamic extremists within the United Kingdom. Because I make a lot of videos on Instagram, Facebook, and they go viral. They reach a lot of people, and my message is that of anti-immigration, anti-Sharia law, and that is offensive.
And are there any particular police forces in Britain that have been targeting you?
Not that I know of. I'm a little too scared to go back and find out.
And I understand that you're now also an American citizen too.
Yes, ma'am. I did just become a citizen. I am fully protected as an American now.
But not if you travel to Britain, because what we know is that even foreign citizens have been arrested at Heathrow Airport for things that they've said online. I mean, the comedian Graham Linehan is a case in point of that.
Yes, he's from Ireland, and I believe he tweeted from America, so he wasn't within the United Kingdom when he said what he said. And yeah, everything he said was deemed offensive, which is all subjective. It's all an opinion. But according to certain acts, like the Communications Act, the Online Safety Act, that is a criminal offense. It's wild.
And in America, there are some more woke law enforcement authorities, aren't there? But they would not go after people because of the protection of the First Amendment.
Yes, the Constitution would override anything they try and do. The woke lefties can have their little Facebook pages, but at the end of the day, the Supreme Court is the supreme law of the land, so they can't do anything about what I say.
And what do you think has to change in Britain for you to return to Britain?
Well, we need to get some sort of constitution there, protect Brits' free speech, and again, this is going to get me more complaints in the UK, but we need to start deporting people who are criminal men and migrants that were allowed into the United Kingdom and are committing more crimes. Because the reason I speak out against those people is because they are harming women, children, men, everyone within the United Kingdom, and the government doesn't seem to care. They don't protect their citizens. So I have to talk about it from the other side of the world.
But they do seem to care about what Grok does. So there seems to be a double standard. There was a massive go that the Prime Minister had about what Grok was doing. And yet, as you rightly say, issues like the grooming gangs are still undealt with. The national inquiry is still, I don't believe it's started yet. And there doesn't seem to be evidence that the people inside the system that were complicit have been held to account at all.
No, that's exactly right. The government allows in men and migrants with criminal backgrounds. That's a fact. So we have someone, and I'm going to absolutely butcher the name, but Lawangin Abdul Raminzi, I would say. He was a men and migrant with a prior criminal record, including murder. He had this on his record, and the United Kingdom granted him asylum. He then went on to kill again. Those are the people the government allows in and covers for. They fund. And they go, oh, you poor thing, come into the country. And someone like Eva or me, we're not allowed to come in because we say naughty, hurty words. Doesn't really make much sense.
And do you consider yourself not a threat then to the British public?
No, I'm not a threat. Definitely not.
You don't seem much of a threat to me. You don't seem much of a threat to me. How much worse do you think this has got in the last few years? Do you think this is a recent phenomenon?
It's definitely ramped up in the last few years. I think since COVID, people have become very sensitive. And, we've elected a lot of questionable characters into the government who have their own agenda. And it's unfortunate, but they are taking over from the inside.
And a lot of these people aren't even elected. If you look at the Chief Constable of the West Midlands, who was found to be fabricating evidence, he was found to be, or the force was found to be consulting Muslim community leaders and allowing them to police a demonstration which turned out to be violent. The people in question turned out to be armed. He was not elected by anybody. He was not accountable. And in fact, he retired on a full pension and the Home Secretary wasn't able to sack him. So there's something seriously wrong about the way the system isn't working in Britain.
No, that's terrible. Best thing about America is we can vote people out anytime we want because they have a pretty good changeover time, whereas in the UK, obviously their careers are longer periods of time, so we can't really just elect them in and out. That does make sense. But there's a lot of things that are going to have to change in the UK, but we need to form some sort of constitution to protect people.
But Britain has had a constitution for a very long time that's unwritten. It is based on the concept of parliamentary sovereignty. And I think changing that would prove pretty difficult. But what if we had each party, when they went for election, agreed to pass essentially the First Amendment through the British Parliament, and that remains in force?
That would be wonderful. I very much support that.
Very good. And tell me a bit more about your campaign and the impact it's having on people in Britain. Are you getting a lot of support? Are the public frustrated? What are you hearing from the ground in Britain?
Many messages in my DMs that I briefly scroll over. I can't answer them all, but they are so grateful that I'm speaking up. They're like, thank you. We can't say that here because the police will come knocking on our door, but you have the protection in America to say this on our behalf. They're like, we know that you could be doing other things, but you're choosing to fight for the British people. And I mean, I'm overwhelmed with these messages and it keeps me going every single day. I don't care that I'm on a terrorism list for my hurty words, because I know for a fact that the British people want me to do this and they're grateful. And so I'm never going to stop.
And are these people from particular parts of Britain, or is this right across the country you're hearing this feedback?
It's all over. Their usernames have little flag emojis. So they'll have like the English flag, the Welsh one with a little dragon. And yeah, they're like, oh, this is a story from my town. And they'll send me paragraphs and it's fascinating, but they are rather invested. Yeah.
And we have a massive problem in Britain with the legacy media. It's one of the reasons that I've set up the Liz Truss show, is to tell the truth about what's happening in our country. Because if you watch the BBC or you watch ITV or watch Sky, you're not going to hear about any of this. You're not going to hear about what's happening in our towns and cities. Do you think we can achieve a media revolution like has happened in the United States?
Well, yeah, it's not a case of if, it's when, because legacy media is dying everywhere. People like Megyn Kelly are where I get the news and it's on Spotify. I never really watch cable TV, and I don't think most people do either. If you know where you stand with the host or the presenter, they give their opinions and you know their bias, it's easier to navigate the stories because you know where they come from. Whereas the BBC are very, very clever. They word things in a specific manner where it manipulates the masses. And I think that's evil. But you see, they don't cover what's going on in Iran. There were protests outside the BBC studios because people wanted to know what was going on in Iran. And the UK government that funds the BBC didn't want to inform its citizens. That's wild. But we know why. It's because Iran are fighting against Sharia law. And the UK wants to implement Sharia law. Let's be real.
I think you mean the protesters in Iran are fighting against the Sharia law.
Of course, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And well, I think at the very best, they want to appease these people. And that's a very dangerous road to go down, because what we've seen years of appeasement. We've seen the activities of the grooming gangs targeting young girls. We're now seeing migrant hotels causing many problems locally. And we've got protesters like the Pink Ladies objecting to that in Britain. But the mass coverage of it is not happening because there's a suppression of those stories. Jade, how did you get into this whole area in the first place? What radicalized you?
Well, probably because I was living in Seattle, which is one of the furthest left places in America. And I'm very much facts over feelings. I want to look at the evidence as if I'm in a courtroom before I make a decision. I don't like to react emotionally to things. And that's all they do in Seattle. As soon as something happens in the news, someone was shot by the police. Okay, time to riot, time to protest. No, I want to see the facts first. And after 4 years of living there, I was just tired of it. And I thought, I don't want to call people by their pronouns. I don't want to say that a man is a woman when it's clearly not true. And, I think that people are far too emotionally reactive and we need to focus on the facts. So originally, I just posted news roundups and gave solid, unbiased opinions, just the facts. And then I started transitioning into more specific videos. So, hey, this is what the Quran says about women. How can feminists support this? And I got a lot of pushback in Seattle. They were like, oh, you're being Islamophobic. Okay, but this is a fact. I'm reading from the book. So calling people out on their hypocrisies is, I don't know, kind of get off on it.
Very good. And we are facing a crisis, aren't we? Not just in Britain, but across Europe and America, that there are people who fundamentally want to undermine our civilization, have got themselves into positions of influence, positions of power. They're now trying to censor people that don't agree with them to continue that march, that ideological march. How close do you think we are to being in a position where it can't be reversed? And what do you think we need to do?
I mean, I think we have between 1 to 3 years for the UK. For Europe, probably 4 years. I'm not an expert on that, but from what I'm seeing.
10 years to save the West. So I'm slightly more optimistic than you are.
Oh, you think it's 10? No.
Well, I think we need to change the direction, but I think these things take time. And the left have spent 30, 40, 50 years doing this.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about the numbers that have been coming into Europe, and a lot of them being military-aged men. So if we have men dying in the Ukrainian war, being sent off to all these other wars, the feminization of modern men, when you go up against that many Middle Eastern men who have this very strong ideology and they believe in masculinity that liberals would call toxic masculinity, we don't really stand much of a chance fighting against them. That's my concern. I think that we're becoming outnumbered very quickly.
Well, thank you very much, Jade, for coming on the show. It's been great to have you. And I hope one day you'll be able to turn to a reformed Britain.
Yes, I'll come visit you soon, I promise. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's time to unite the kingdom.